Good afternoon, everyone. We're afternoon here. My name is Mohammed Kayode Ajape. I'm a postdoctoral research fellow from the University of Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm presenting a paper titled Environmental, Social, and Governance and Corporate Value of Listed Companies in Nigeria. This paper is co-authored by Professor Michael Adelowotan and Dr. Adesanmi Adegbayibi of the Department of Accountancy, University of Johannesburg. Sorry, where is the... All right. Globally, it has been known that financial information is no longer sufficient for several stakeholders to take decisions about corporate organizations. And that is why non-financial information has been gaining interest of wider stakeholders in order to ensure that corporate organizations are well evaluated for the purpose of investment decision. Therefore, ESG, one of the non-financial information system, is born out of the need for corporate organizations to see themselves as part of society and not separate from it. It is also born out of the need for organizations to focus on long-term prospects rather than mere quarterly earnings and profit and shareholders' returns. Also, it is through the need for the citizens and communities' needs to carry equal weight as those of the interest of shareholders so that we can have a sustained societal values. Therefore, through ESG, the role of business can no longer be just business. Ordinarily, we know business are out to make profit, but through the ESG reporting, which is a component of sustainability, businesses can no longer be just business. Organizations that have adopted ESG reporting have done so because of the perceived benefits of the ESG reporting, which includes guarantee of long-term business success, reduced risk, such as the risk of environmental risk, social disparities, and governance failures, the need to promote sustainable growth of businesses, and the improvement in companies' resilience. Also, it is because of the benefit of reduction in information asymmetry between company and connected parties, because ESG is expected to to propel organizations to disclose so many activities about their companies. So, therefore, the rate of information, the level of information available to shareholders will be enhanced. The information environment of shareholders and other stakeholders will be enhanced. ESG is also has potentials to attract investment because investors will now see organizations as indulging in ethical practices. And ultimately, ESG is expected to boost corporate value, which is the main subject of our paper. There are 3 dimensions of ESG, and these include environmental stewardship, which includes the activities and policies of organizations aimed at addressing environmental issues, such as the issue of biodiversity, natural resources, waste management, and so on. The other segment is the issue of social responsibility or social wellness, which has to do with the issue of how organizations addresses welfare of their workers and so other areas. The third aspect is the strong governance standards, which is about how organizations' activities and policies addresses issues such as the issue of governance failures, the board compositions, board diversities, and so on and so forth. So these are the 3 major segments of ESG. In Nigeria, there has been wider recognition of ESG reporting. Though in Nigeria currently, the status of ESG reporting is still voluntary, it is highly sector-specific, though it is becoming very pervasive because of the regulatory attention, the level of regulatory attention it is gaining. Currently, we have frameworks for sustainability reporting, such as the Nigerian Exchange Group Sustainability Guidelines of 2018, the Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance issued in 2019, the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 2020, the Security and Exchange Commission Guidelines on Sustainable Financial Practices issued in 2021, and the Climate Change Act of 2021. Each of these frameworks contains one provision or the other related to ESG reporting of corporate organizations. currently, the body charged with the financial reporting in Nigeria, which is the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, has committed to adopting the international sustainability standard issued by the International Sustainability Standard Board of the IFRS, the IFRS Sustainability Standard, and it has issued the ESG Adoption Readiness Roadmap in 2024, where it classified this adoption procedure into 3 phases. The first one is for the early adopters, which are the companies that are likely to adopt from 1st of January 2024, the year that we are currently running out. Then the second one is the voluntary adopters. These are companies that must adopt from January 2024 until 31st of December 2027. And compulsory or mandatory adoption, which is the phase where all listed companies in Nigeria or all companies in Nigeria will report their ESG performance, in the annual report as from January 2028. So this is the roadmap for ESG adoption in Nigeria. This thing is not moving. Problem statement. So going by the various frameworks that we have for ESG reporting in Nigeria, it has become so difficult that there is lack of uniformity of standard of ESG reporting framework in Nigeria. There is also a lack of clear guidelines and regulation, because if you go through each of these frameworks, there is bound to be some contradiction. One framework may focus on this aspect of ESG, another one will focus on another. So there is no specific guidelines and regulation on reporting and the metrics of ESG to be reported. There is difficulty in meaningfully reporting the ESG performance to guide investors' decision. There is also the difficulty in specifying the specific ESG mechanism which impacts performance, which is the onus of this research. As a result of that, the aim of an objective of this study includes to evaluate the impact of the ESG component, these 3 components, on firm value, specifically to assess the impact of environmental dimension disclosures on corporate value, examine the impact of social dimension disclosures on corporate value, and investigate the impact of governance dimension disclosures on corporate value of listed companies. Literature review. The growing literature on ESG in Nigeria has revealed the fact that top securities and regulators and stock exchanges now
3 minutes left. 3 minutes left.
Thank you. Organizations are still skeptical that ESG may not advance their profit motive, and stakeholders now demand for transparency has increased regarding the ESG performance. Because of time, there are so many other known facts about ESG reporting in Nigeria. This study is based on 3 theories: the agency theory, the stakeholders theory, and signaling theory. Because of time, I'll move forward. The methodology. We adopt ex post facto research design, where we use secondary data that already exists. Purposive sampling technique was used to to select 26 companies that are publicly traded on the floor of stock exchange in Nigeria, and that have audited annual reports for 2018 to 2023. We use 2018 because we are using the NGS sustainability guideline for this study. So, and it was issued in 2018, and 2023 because the data for 2024 for most of these companies are not available now. This study is sectorial based. We made it possible. We made it so that each sector of the organizations in Nigeria are well represented, especially the non-financial sector. The result, the descriptive results of our variables are stated here. It is shown here that the governance, the environmental and social factors perform very well in terms of the mean and standard deviation figure, whereas the governance factor performed poorly, a little bit poorly. It shows that the governance has lowest mean and standard value, whereas the environmental has highest value for mean, where social variable had highest value for standard deviation. We conducted some diagnostics, including the correlation and variance inflation factor. The result shows that there is no significant correlation between each pair of the variable, and the variance inflation factors value ranges between 1.071 and 1.9, suggesting that there is no issue of multicollinearity. We therefore conducted regression analysis on the variables.
1 minute left.
So the result shows that each of the dimensions of ESG had significant negative relationship with the Tobin skill, whereas when we use alternative measure, which is return on asset, the result changes to positive. So the discussion is that the Tobin skill exhibited negative relationship with ESG. This means that increase in ESG reporting may likely reduce corporate value. This is perhaps because of cost of implementing ESG, because of regulatory and compliance costs, because of the fact that the ESG may not align with short-term goal of the company, and it may not have immediate economic benefit for several stakeholders. In conclusion, given the significant R-square for each of the dimensions of ESG, regulatory attention therefore should be focused on effective ESG-related policies, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria should not relent its effort at developing and enforcing ESG framework in Nigeria. Thank you very much. I will open for your questions.